You can look over. I mean, we're going to have you on camera in a minute. But today we've asked Jack to come back and talk more about mining because last time we had so much to talk about. We stayed in the studio for like an hour after just talking. And we wanted to do that with you guys and share that with you because Jack knows how to mine, and he is even going to share some of those techniques with you guys so you can start mining your own coin. And we're going to even talk about maybe we can create our own coin too. So welcome, Jack. Welcome back.
How you doing, everyone?
So tell us, because I think we were talking about this after the fact, really want to tell the audience exactly your experience, like starting in, I think we were talking about Silicon Valley. You started out there with way before iPhones were even out? I don't know. You're too young. You look too young.
It was like 1 year before it came out, but it might as well have been 1,000 years before the iPhone came out because everyone is still using Windows machines. But now people are cycling back, so it's been a full 10 years of technology. But I started out there, and it was before the white paper. I didn't really know how to code, but I was around it, and I got to sit in an office with some pretty knowledgeable people, and I saw what their workflow and their strategy was like and how they learned, and that's what stuck with me, and that's kind of how I've landed here. And in between, I was doing like some iPhone contract work, and excuse me.
You have some water. I think I left it over there, though. Wait, here. Can we see it?
Yeah, I can grab that.
Oh, okay.
And so doing iPhone contract work was extremely challenging for me because I didn't have a computer education and didn't have like any experience really. I just kind of took my first contract because I could get one online. But the process of going online to GitHub, reading other people's code, reading other people's problems, seeing their solutions, and sometimes understanding why it worked and sometimes not. Like, it's a lot of copy and pasting other people's work, and then after the fact you go, oh, that's what I was doing wrong. Like,
was it specific languages that you were coding in?
Yeah, the iPhone apps are written in Objective-C, and they switched to Swift a couple years ago, but while I was doing it, it was mostly Objective-C. And that actually isn't a language that's used in cryptocurrencies, so none of that's carrying over, but JavaScript is. So if there's anyone listening who's JavaScript developer or web developer, this would actually be really easy for you to get into because all these initial contracts and then decentralized apps, they're mostly written like in Sublime Text, so your software stack won't be that different. There's some things on the mining pool side where you would deploy a Linux server that you would install a framework or two that would be different, but essentially it would be the same as running like any private network.
So I've heard C++ and Python.
Mm-hmm.
I know with Ethereum they use Solidity and all these, but I know Cardano uses Haskell.
Yeah, and Haskell is a lesser known, lesser popular one, but we see that a lot with technology where like a forgotten language, something that people discard, becomes like immensely popular. Like WhatsApp, I forget the language that it was even written in, but they had like the majority of the people who were good at it, and that's one of the reasons why it was so popular and secure, because I think they had like 80 or 90% of the guys that specialized in that field.
Oh, that's awesome. So right now we're talking about the software development of creating the coins, but last week we talked specifically about mining. So as a miner, because you crossed those two lines, but a lot of miners, I would imagine, don't. So as a miner, is it necessary to understand and to know the code, the programming code?
It is, and you're going to be interacting with code on a daily basis as a miner anyway. I mean, you'll probably start on Windows or OS X, and you might have to go into your command prompt and change some settings pretty quickly. Especially in Windows, you'll be disabling a lot of firewalls and antivirus software. So, and then as soon as you optimize your cards, you're going in and you're tweaking settings on those. So even that you would feel like you were coding. Setting up the software and all the parameters involved in that are also similar to setting up, files and frameworks that you use to deploy an app, and then actual coding you would get into at the point where you would want to build a mining pool or an exchange or something like that. But even on exchanges, you could be coding for trades. I mean, if you just set a limit saying I'll buy Bitcoin anytime it hits 7,000, you're writing some code.
Oh, wow. Okay, so, we want to think, oh, yeah, we can all be miners, it's easy, but I know it's not easy. Let's start from one thing that might be easy, because I think last week you mentioned even on a laptop computer, there is a way to mine something. Now, can you do that easily without having to be a programmer or understanding code?
Yeah, you can download Vertcoin. I know their wallet has a built-in background miner, and Monero also. And if you're familiar with your hardware, like whether you have a 2-core, 4-core, 6-core, or 8-core CPU, you can dedicate a certain amount of those to mining. So once you download the Monero wallet, you go into the mining tab, and you'd say, okay, I have an 8-core CPU, so I could set half of those to mining, because I'm never going to play games on this, and there, you're mining in the background, and you're set up. And every time you leave Monero open, it keep updating the blockchain, but you can check in periodically, and eventually you'll accumulate coins.
Wow. Okay, eventually. Yeah, I think I signed up for one of those, and I guess there's some, it wasn't Monero, it was some other thing, and I'm sure it was a scam, because I even forgot how to get back in it. Maybe it's still using my computer, I don't know. But maybe when your computer shuts off, it goes off. I don't know. And that's the thing. I don't know, so that's why we want to talk about it. So you did mention Monero, and we did talk about the fork that was happening or was going to happen last week. So as far as an update on that, I think there's been a lot of activity this week, you said, right?
Yeah, so there was a fork probably an hour after we did the show last week, so that was a very eventful day, and the difficulty dropped 30%, so a third of the market of people mining Monero were ASIC machines, and they didn't announce it because they didn't really know how many ASIC machines were on their network probably, and so by surprising them, they were able to see how many were there, and I think it is very scary for a lot of people, because over 50% you become vulnerable to, attacks or certain things, and they were able to get 30% of one of the bigger coins. I mean, Monero is very popular. Since then, though, the price surged. I think it went from 180 to 200, and it looks stable at 200 now. So that's good. That's good news. Like post-crash, we just had a recent one.
So did you hear anything else? Because I actually haven't researched it, but did you hear anything else about Ethereum in that regard? Like maybe they saw that happen and decided more or less, they were wavering about their fork.
Everyone's looking at them next probably, and also like the other players at the maybe 3rd, 4th, and 5th spots, because it's more competitive. They're closer in size, and it's like whoever forks correctly or the best, or at the most optimal time will probably benefit, and more money will flow that way, and they'll grow. I mean, people think there's potential for some of these other coins to even leapfrog over Ethereum if they don't act and they're not able to fork and they accumulate more ASICs.
Mm-hmm. So in the mining community, obviously you have to have an ASIC, or you have to use ASICs to mine Bitcoin. Is everybody okay with that? In other words, okay, this is what we're doing, and that's the way it is. But what miners are really more interested in is, well, we're really talking about the GPU miners, right?
Yeah, that's GPU mining is your most accessible way to get into it. Like you could start off on your CPU doing background mining, and then maybe even on storage, or doing something that's not specifically financial, but it's a charity coin, or it's a project you find interesting. It's looking for extra planets in different systems and stuff like that. Like there's all sorts of pursuits you can follow, but specifically GPU mining is probably where anyone is going to look and say, oh, I can do this in my house, because an ASIC is just not a home device yet.
Okay, so you mentioned something great that I want to talk about too. Okay, so right after our radio show, I have a friend of mine who does, you know, documentaries. Okay, he sent me a documentary. I watched it before I went to bed, and I was like, "Damn you, I can't sleep," because it was just so annoying that it seemed like we used to, not to go too far off on a tangent here, but it seemed like we used to watch CNN and they used to show us what was really going on in the world. And now all of a sudden, I don't think we're seeing that, or maybe I'm just not watching CNN. But this film he did was all about what's going on in Yemen and all the people that are, really being displaced. We know about all these refugees and all these things, and there are people in the community, in the blockchain community, that are using blockchain to help these people, right? But I always had, and I was starting to do a women's investment club. And in the process of talking to women around the world, I was deciding, okay, we're going to do it in tiers. We're going to do the first tier, where it's just a free club. Everybody can start by looking at the different coins out there, researching them, talking to each other, and deciding, okay, let's invest in this. But they would just invest on their own, have their own wallets. It would be too much for us to keep track or to have somebody take responsibility for that. And you could do that by creating like a spreadsheet, right? And it's just like a Phantom football or something, and monitoring it, so you know if people are actually investing, they would have been making money or not. Then you can have other tiers, which would be, a real VC fund, or you can actually do a nonprofit. You could hook it up to a marketplace. You could do all kinds of things and pay people in this coin. And then you can have, people investing in different things, and I call it like a 3 or 4 tier thing that we can talk about. But in that, I was thinking, well, we could use a coin for that. We could create a coin. We could pay people in coin that are doing things on the blockchain or whatever we could create around the world for these women, like marketplaces, or, giving to nonprofits, or rewarding volunteers for working for these nonprofits, and all these things. Because I really, in the beginning, always saw that this is the way it's going to happen. And there can be millions of coins. So how can we create our own coin? And so that's what I wanted to talk to Jack about, because I know that you can easily create an ERC20 coin, but can we mine it? Can we teach other women to mine it? I don't know. So I'm looking at Jack here.
Yeah, so making a coin, I would compare to, doing an app development job. You can make a $1,000 or $500 version, and then there is a $1 million version out there. And that's what we're seeing at the market now. Some of these are $100 million projects, and some of them, I could start one today. And a lot of the smaller ones end up doing well, and so you'll see a project, with software that maybe looks out of the box or open sourced, and you don't take it that seriously, but 6 months from then, if people adopt it, they then can move to more advanced technology and hire their own private developers. But I would look into learning basic computer development, talk to anyone you know who's a programmer. There's not that many great videos about it out there yet, but I have found a lot of guides. A lot of people do text guides. I guess the videos, it's tough for someone to write all the private keys out on the screen and then give it away. No one wants to make a coin and then have everyone see how to get access to it. But it's relatively simple to make something. You write a contract, you say, I'm going to give the founder of this coin X amount of them. You put in how many decimal places the coin's going to have and a bunch of other just statistics, but there's a lot of planning. So you wouldn't make the coin and then figure it out after. That would be the most broken way. You'd probably want to do at least 6 months of planning before you made something, because doing a fork or changing people's software is such a pain point. You run on a test network before you hit the main net, and then from the main net you can go to exchanges, and that's kind of the flow of how things go. So if anyone's looking to do this, I would say research, figure out what you like, what aspects of each coin you like, and then maybe write down I would like my coin to maybe not have that many in circulation. Like, that would be interesting. Like, if there were only 1,000 of them, but they're very divisible. If you could make the coin appealing to investors or not appealing to investors. Like, some people think, having a huge value is like broken. Like, no one will want to buy a $25,000 coin when you can buy all these 10-cent coins. So it's very interesting. It really is kind of much more than like a currency thing. Like, people are building these decentralized apps where the rules actually do apply on here, so it is very important to make sure that everything you've considered is like right for the project. And also, like, a woman's investment fund is a great idea, and there's obviously a lot of women out there, so I would imagine the planning phase could be difficult because scalability would be an issue there. Like, there's just a lot of people. It's a very approachable one. Like, for apps, I would always kind of steer people in the direction of going for like a niche market, because you want someone to keep it installed on their phone. But for currencies, it goes both ways. You could go after everyone, like a Bitcoin or Ethereum, or you can be Dogecoin, and you can go after like a very small segment of the population.
Well, what I started doing this week was in talking to people, just trying to take people's input, and then I feel it has to be something that evolves. So I created a Slack, right, and started inviting people. In fact, like last week, you talked about master nodes. Can you explain what master nodes means in mining?
So,
and then I'll get back to why I'm asking that.
Yeah, master nodes, you would be like an official server, so transactions that are getting processed on the network would be going through you. So there isn't one central computer. A project would have maybe 10 or 12 master nodes at an early stage, and all of the network would be being processed through there. They choose who those master nodes in various different ways. You can apply, you can buy in, you have to have minimum hardware specs. You need a certain type of computer system to be able to do that usually. But yeah, master nodes it's a very appealing thing for miners too, because as they get bigger, they're looking for a lot of different ways to make money off their hardware.
So I used that terminology in asking women around the world. I contacted about 50 women that I, are in Bitcoin or know about it around the world if they're interested in being master nodes and helping to create this investment club. And I got response from about 10, and so I created a Slack, and one of them suggested, having it to be really organized in the beginning. So you have it by region, then country, then, down to city, and then I'm thinking from there we can go to the meetups and have them have their own circles, small groups. Could be 10 people in each group, and then they can feed that information up to the master nodes who have these spreadsheets, and then they just post up. And, at the end of the day, you're in the top of the Slack saying this is what we decided to buy. This, in our phantom, like, football thing with our spreadsheets, and people are investing on their own. I mean, do you have any other better ideas, or do you know any other?
No, that would be fun. I mean, I kind of do that. I have a bunch of apps on my phone. Like, I have Blockfolio and Hodl, Coinbase, and each one has, like, there's one smaller portfolio, and, like, I actually have those. Some of them I follow, I don't have, but...
So this is an app that shows you a what-if scenario?
No, that's...
Or
you can put in any value number. So I do have those 5 coins, but I could put in a buy for... I could buy, I could say, I'm buying 10,000 Bitcoin today, pretend, and then compare it with my friend, and that's a really fun project. I know...
No, wait, this exists right now?
That?
No, what you're saying right now.
Well, that's like what you're saying for the investment club.
Right.
And I'm sure there's people that do it for, like... I know there's some cool math teacher out there in his statistics class, and they're buying cryptocurrencies for, like, fun, hopefully.
They are. I mean, I talked to college professors that are making the college a lot of money because they got an endowment or some kind of a donation, and then their college students are actually investing it, and, their portfolio almost doubled, for the college. But, I mean, the college kids aren't getting any part of that. That's the thing.
No, but a lot of them are mining in their dorms.
Yeah, I'm sure, and using electricity. No, but is there an existing app for what you just said, or like we could create an app for our
you could make
investment
one.
club?
I mean, to start, you could have people use these and then just share. But you could make something like this and then have. I mean, through this.
What's the name of that again?
That one
Hodl?
is HODL, HODL,
HODL.
which is a term people use for hold. I think someone late at night misspelled hold on a forum, and so HODL has become like this. It's become like the catchphrase of coin, actually.
Wow, I haven't heard it.
People say it. Yeah, anytime the market has like a downturn, it's like, don't worry, like way worse has happened. Like, don't sell anything. Selling really isn't on
Time
the
to
menu.
hodl.
Yeah, a lot of people selling isn't ever going to be on the menu.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own way of doing things, but if you believe in this long term, you're in here for the long term.
Yeah, I don't see a way. So this one has I could share a screenshot. So I guess you could have people do that and then submit a screenshot by like whatever time that night of their picks. And that would probably be the easiest.
Okay, so anyway, let's talk more about how people can actually get started mining at their own homes. Now, I know that you're a gamer, right? So a lot of people that are gamers would probably catch on a little bit quicker than others, right? So let's just talk about gamers. If there's, like my grandson out there, if he's a gamer, how can he start mining with the knowledge he has?
He'd be in a pretty good situation, because if you have a computer with a graphics card, you're basically going to be using the same hardware that a full-scale GPU miner uses. You're just only going to be using one card. Like the big rigs that people talk about are just regular computers that have 8 of one type of component instead of one of them. So if you have a computer with one card, you'll be using the same software as a miner with $1 million in machines. And you can go to Phoenix Miner or Ethermine, or Etherpool also has a lot of mining resources. But depending on your coin, you'll go into a different mining software. And
how do you find out the software itself, how do you find out which software to use to mine these different coins?
So you would go to the social media or homepage of the coin, and then from there they will have a link that'll be all of your necessary links for like mining or development or whatever. And it's a guide. I mean, if you've ever like put together IKEA furniture and thought you had like tough time reading instructions, then this is not probably the thing for you. Because sometimes you do things on your computer and you don't immediately see the results. But it's step by step. It really is very easy, and most of them have screenshots and stuff. Like, I think anyone could do this because the instructions are pretty thorough. And if you're a gamer and you've had compatibility issues, or you've wanted to run something on a different version of DirectX, then you're probably allowed to. Or you've played PC games on Mac before. If you've done any of that stuff, this is easy.
So when you talk about a rig, it's different than a computer, right? A rig means that you have, it's kind of a frame, but you have a number of those game cards, let's say, or GPU cards, stacked in there, and that's what you're using, right, when you have a rig? Different than a computer in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of slang, though. Like, some people refer to their personal systems as one also, just because the term has been around since before.
Rig? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, people have called computers that since before cryptocurrency. But the language has been adopted.
From gamers, right? And was it mostly people doing games?
Yeah, a lot of the crypto languages come from games or other parts of the internet. Some financial, like a lot of the technical analysis, and it's cool to see this mashup of cultures that didn't really belong together.
It is. It's definitely a cross between the major banking systems and Wall Street, and the gamers or the other people that were doing things on that level, because the people in between are kind of left out now. It's like, oh yeah, we know how to do that. We're going to do the blockchain. We're going to because we have all these hedge funds. We can do all this, and we can create this, and it's like, whoa, because they for so long didn't have any new inventions or new technology that they could latch onto. It seems like they are now, and all of the analysis, like you say, of what coins and how to invest. Do you, as a miner, you use that technology now too, right?
Yeah, I mean, all the crypto exchanges look pretty identical to any foreign exchange that any guy on Wall Street would be using. But it's a lot simpler now because these coins are much easier to learn, I feel, and have a lot more potential than, learning, certain sectors of the stock market or something might be less exciting, especially because, when you look at stocks and, you can look at, Google's performance 5 years ago or, any company's performance 20 years ago. And there's just a lot of data there, and you can look at these cryptocurrencies, and it's like, oh, the entire lifetime of this was, 6 months. So it's a less daunting task in that way.
No, I know. People always, anybody that tries to complain about Bitcoin or anything to me, I'm like, Bitcoin was at $2,700 in August, okay? This is what we're talking about here. It's just so short of a time frame. It's just incredible, what's going on.
Yeah, that's why I stressed the planning phase for anyone who wants to make a coin, because it'll get out of control very quickly. And that's, you don't want, that's the worst case scenario, because then you had a great concept and it got adopted by a lot of people, and then whatever, the value goes super low or people stop using it. I think it's important to look at the same metrics that we did in iPhone development, where it's daily active users, monthly installs, how many times someone opens the app per day. You actually want a culture of people using something, not just an accumulation of wealth. And I think that's where we've seen the rest of the market fill the void that Bitcoin left, because Bitcoin worked, because people's computers wouldn't be able to handle it. But looking towards the future, it's interesting because, who knows what memory is, memory has always kind of become laughable 5 years later. So,
well, I mean, when we talk about so much technology, it always just, my eyes can glaze over. And so let's just bring it back to a simple thing as far as, okay, we have these women around the world. They want to start mining something that we create, and I'm wondering if it could just be as easy as, I don't know, you're too young, but there used to be green stamps. People used to do stuff and then get green stamps for it, or the reward systems in the airlines where you get points. Is there any way just to keep track of things like that instead of, no, it's not exactly the same technology, but to get started, I was even thinking, wow, you could even create a cold, meaning not a cold wallet, but you know how you print out with your keys on it, and you can create the barcode? I mean, it's that simple. You could actually just have, it's your own dollar, basically.
Yeah, I haven't heard of a solution like this on blockchain. I did hear a few years ago about a pretty big company in China that did this, and it was pretty much just personal favor exchange. I need someone to take my elderly mother to the dentist, and then, I would give someone a credit for that, and then, I would go babysit someone's kids or something in return, and it was actually a functioning economy of this, and they weren't exchanging money at all. So there wasn't a token or anything, but they did have an exchange of points, but it just wasn't on blockchain. So yeah, a blockchain-enabled solution for that would work well. You just need to find what specific behaviors are you going to reward, right? What are the rules? Because
well, what you're saying is you could actually create the rules into a smart contract on Ethereum, and then it would actually spit out the coins for you. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. So if you said, everyone in the network will get 100 coins when they join, that works. But then how are you going to make sure that people don't sign up twice?
Okay. Well, I don't know if this is possible, but listen to my theory. What if you had a coin? Okay, so let's say there's a lot of membership organizations out there, right? A lot of women are join things like I'm a part of NABO, National, Women's Organization, and other ones. Oh, right here in there's is it BMI where they have the referral networks. That's really big in New York. I don't know if you know it, but anyway, so you pay a fee, like a membership fee. You can pay it up front, or you can pay a monthly fee, and that has you be a member, right? And I was thinking, okay, so the first tier of this could be free. Everybody gets to play. And the second tier is if you want to be a member, so like say $20 a month, that $20, $5 of it goes to, organizing, administration, $5 goes to investing in a VC kind of thing where your money is invested, right? And then there's $5 that goes to the marketplace, so you have a credit where you can buy and sell from each other. And then the other one goes to a nonprofit, like you're picking a targeted nonprofit that you're going to work with. And this just gives a lot of interaction. If you get 1 million women working, that's working. Like those miners working, or the workers, as Dan said last week. Then you can actually see some kind of flow really start to happen. And then tier 3, you could actually have some real investments going on in creating like an endowment for women around the world. I mean, it could get huge. That would be the ultimate goal. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Do you think that's realistic? Because then you could have...
I think you could validate people in real life. I mean, one of the coins I saw recently, they're master nodes that are being validated by quote-unquote government officials are just... I forget what the title is, but it's not a very prestigious one. It's something that anyone can go get. But it's still like someone is actually going to look at a transaction. So that is one way to handle distribution, is to say, you're a person, I looked at your driver's license. I mean, that's how they do it.
Right. When you become a member, then you're doing the, know your customer and all that stuff. At that point, you're getting information about people.
Yeah, and then you could allow them to get onto the network, and then they could generate their own private keys and stuff. Mm-hmm. That would be a great way to do it. People just haven't invested into a space or something. No one has made a crypto bank where you can walk in and sign up with your government documents yet. I'm sure we'll see one in the next 5 years, or maybe a little longer, but I'd be surprised if it was longer than that.
Yeah, all the things you can do with cash you can do, right? In fact, I have to tell you, okay, so any women out there that are interested in being a part of the formation of this women investment club can go to womenincrypto.net. That's a meetup for this radio show, actually, and you guys, we can be in touch through that. But when Bitcoin, back in 2012 or 2011, when I first got into Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin was the only coin out there, I started buying up all these, web names, because that's what I usually do. So I bought Bitcoin Bank and Trust. And I had a bunch of them, Bitcoin Venture Partners. I still have that. But I let go of a lot of them, because then when all the different coins came out, I started doing things different. But, yeah, so anything's possible, right? I mean,
those are all good. How did you do investing before crypto? Was it a similar, is that kind of where you got the idea for this, or was that more structured?
No, when you mean in Bitcoin general, or before that?
Before that.
Yeah, well, I was the chief financial officer of a New York Stock Exchange company, and I knew from my own personal experience that basically what I loved about the company I was with, which was a biotech company, we gave, we had stock options went to all employees, not just the top. It was everyone based on, how long they've been there or all these things. I was basically matching my salary with the stock because of the appreciation and everything. So I always knew stock was the way to go, or at least what I felt more so was making everybody a part of it and rewarding everybody and letting everybody, what I call win, right, in it. Mm-hmm. So I would invest in other stocks that I knew, and I would kind of know the ones that I really liked, and they were pretty predictable about, they have a threshold, they're going up or they're going down, and I kind of knew where it was, and then I would do that. But mostly I was really impassioned by helping our employees be successful, and that's what really motivated me. And I hadn't even thought about it, but maybe this is why this appeals to me, because you can really make a difference in everybody's lives. A lot of women aren't in the space, and they don't know about it, but it's not just women. A lot of people don't know about it. But I'm finding that men are more willing to take a risk, or maybe because of the gamers, they've already understood kind of the process, where women they don't really, and myself included, as far as mining myself, yeah, I can see how the whole market, meaning a woman's power of buying power, could really shift the world and shift the market. And I guess that's my whole thing is like, can we create a system for peace where people can be rewarded and they can also live an abundant life, but they can make a difference in the world? It kind of all goes together for me. It's not just making money.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably a large thing that is missing from the crypto world right now, because it is a lot of like male specific, or kind of when we think of some of these crazy AI projects, it's pretty male dominated, and some of them don't even make money. Like, these are guys that just want to do crazy things on computers, and like that's awesome and cool, but from a commerce side, you want economic activity and you want people to be exchanging currency on a regular basis, and the vast majority of that is done by women. So like, maybe that is kind of one of the puzzle pieces that's missing from crypto right now, why we see such big differences between that and how the regular stock market is performing. But I would expect, as women get involved, the volumes to kind of to at least double.
Wow. Well, there's a good marriage that could happen too, with the guys that really know the technology and the women that know how to spend money. No. No, I'm just kidding. But obviously there are women that know how to spend it, but there's a lot of women that I also feel are very talented and really don't have the opportunity to make money. You know what I mean? It's like I just saw also in that documentary, there's a lot of refugees that are very well-educated women that basically are sitting in these camps. They don't have any way to work, but they're very educated. So if there's a way to find a way for women around the world, and men too, that are, talented, want to use their talent for good and get rewarded for it with a currency, like a coin that they can actually use to buy and sell things that they need in their lives. It could be a world revolution. Why not? That's the way Bitcoin started. That's that's the end, the carrot that everybody wants, the 99%, most of them.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago I met someone who made a blockchain-powered device for refugees, and that's how they were distributing aid to them. And he said first morning the system went live, they were going to send a text message out to 1 or 2 people to test it, and they sent a text out to 5,000 refugees that their system was live and the supermarket was open, and they were basically mobbed at the supermarket because people were really excited to use this new system, because most of them had never had a bank account before. So for them to have a phone or a card, the system was actually biometric, so that's how they were handling their distribution.
Yeah, I saw a presentation from I can't remember the name of the company, and they're out of Germany. They were working with the UN.
Yep.
Is that the same?
Datarella, yeah.
Datarella.
That's the name of the company, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I also saw that guy. You saw him?
Yeah, he did a good presentation.
Yeah. So they did 86 million, I think there were refugees, which is crazy enough. But this is my thing. Okay, so they've got it down to where they can distribute the money to these, so they're not starving. They can take that money and they can go buy food. But I also know there's more involved in the human psyche than just taking handouts. They want to hand up. They want to be productive. I believe that people ultimately want to be useful or utilized, right? Not just sit there and take money. I think they want to get something going and make something happen and be productive. I don't know.
Yeah, no, a large part of it is learning the systems that you're a part of, right? You don't just want to receive benefit and be oblivious to what's going on around you, because then you might end up in a refugee situation again, right? You're unaware of your political surroundings or something like that. But computer education is huge, and
access to that, having access to it also. You need access in order to use computers.
The free information out there, though, I think it's safe to say at this point that the free information out there is better than what you could pay for privately.
Mm-hmm.
So once you do get to a computer or something,
well,
it's
let's talk about the phones. Like we're just talking about, refugees they do have access to their phone. they have access to their phone.
Yeah, and a phone is fairly limiting, but I learned to code on an Android tablet that cost $90, so like pretty much anyone who has a phone that is a smartphone has, like, the majority of the world is using Android, and they've gotten better over the past 6 or 7 years.
And that's mostly in apps. Like, they're using apps to distribute that money. The people with the phones, let's just say the refugees with the phones, are taking that to those stores that then have an app, and that's how they're communicating, through these apps. So this is another question I have then, because I know that there's a number of exchanges, right? And that's how even miners take their coins and exchange them into, workable money if they're not trading between each other. Well, is there a network that trades between each other without having to touch a bank or a USD?
Trades between the coins?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because
that's how
I know how an exchange
that's how the
buys
Ethereum
things,
network works. Is you
Okay.
can exchange between all of those because they're using the same code, so it's easier to switch between them. And then there's all sorts of exchanges out there with various different rates.
Is that My Ether Wallet? Is that mostly, or some other one?
I think My Ether Wallet is one. I haven't used it. There's a lot, and I have a hard time remembering all these
I know,
names.
they're just going so fast, and so many of them. Okay, but you can have an exchange that, to get on an exchange is expensive. For a coin to get on an exchange, you have to either give them a lot of coin or pay a lot of money, right? Or do you know other exchanges?
You can get on an exchange by just kind of credentials also. Like, if your coin looks like the next big coin and people are buying it like crazy, the exchanges will eventually adopt you. They have to, because they want to keep the most competitive traders on there, the people trading big volume, and those people are going to go to where the opportunities are, and the opportunities are in the new stuff usually. And that's why I have exchange accounts in Japan and Hong Kong, and there's many different countries. There's US based ones, but different ones will adopt different coins first. And before a coin is offered on an exchange, the exchange will have to buy that coin. So if you have a coin before that, you're really good. But you can also watch out for an exchange buying a smaller coin that will usually look like a coin doubling in price. Like it will be a huge buy. You will see a giant green candlestick. If you're familiar with technical analysis, or you look at your charts or whatever, you'll see the biggest buy you ever saw, and that just happened recently with a coin, and it's probably going to get listed on an exchange soon, because there are people that buy in those kind of quantities, but in reality it's probably an exchange.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about, we've touched on the whole mining and the exchange, but again, we talked about it last week, but just to say, for keeping those coins that you're mining, obviously you might be mining a number of coins, so are you using a hard wallet like a Trezor or a Nano, a Ledger?
Yeah,
Nano?
I have a Ledger Nano. I only have it set up for like 2 coins right now, but I'm going to use that, probably a couple of them, and I already have like 2 or 3 computers with wallets on them, so I'm of the philosophy that people should put wallets on every device that they have, and just have it's like if you could leave your life savings everywhere and it would be secure. Like, that's
Right.
kind of
Or
the
if you
strategy.
lose one, and it's not, not that it's not a big deal, but the more diversification you have in everything, the better, right?
Yeah, and
Or the more redundancy.
people will hide 6 keys, and you only need 4 of them to get the money, right? So if you lose 2 of them, it's not the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of different strategies. I'm sure people have made Rube Goldberg machines and all sorts of contraptions to hide their keys. But it's something you could have fun with. I've seen they take power drills and they write them on titanium plates now, and then they put the titanium plate inside of something.
My God!
So I think that's the new standard in security for the cold storage, is the titanium plate and the power drill.
Holy moly, I hadn't even heard of that. Well, I was kind of relieved, and I know, people might not like Coinbase, but at least they do secure, or at least, secure $250,000 worth, or insure, I guess, $250,000 worth of coins. But just because I'm not that person that really is comfortable taking things off, all of my hard drives have always crashed, but, they have that armory or whatever they call that, where they'll keep a lot of coins. So, like say if we get really huge around the world with this women's thing, then there would at least be a vault, I guess they call it. I don't know what they call it, to secure a lot of this stuff. I don't know. I mean, it's still just so scary to take and just be responsible for all the keys that might just evaporate.
If they were in one location, it would be very nerve-wracking, but I think playing into the decentralized theme is you would give, your, 10 master nodes each a key, and then, 8 of them would need to get together to access it, right? So you would need a majority or whatever to access the money is a way to do it.
Yeah, and I guess redundancy could be good too, right?
Safer than like a union or something where one person could have access to all the funds.
Right, which is the way kind of it is right now, right?
Yeah.
So, I think we touched on this last time too, where someone said we talked about, was it Binance? Who is it that's creating the decentralized exchange? Was it Binance? I know they have their own coin, but there's somebody out there that wants to create their own, wants to create a decentralized exchange, and it's offering. I heard they were offering $1 million for anyone that could figure that out. I don't know. This is hearsay.
Yeah, decentralized exchange is kind of one of those buzzwords that a lot of people use, and it would be like hard to write down a specific definition now because it's been used so many times. But I think Zilliqua is one that's used that term.
No, it's one of the majors that they said because they have one point of entry. Was it Bittrex? It was somebody big like that.
They put a bounty out for a new technology, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Probably Bittrex or Binance.
Yeah, but you're not going for the $1 million.
No, I wish. If I had a team of coders like that, I would have a coin already. I mean, those people are very talented. Hopefully, I meet them someday.
Yeah, it is exciting with all the new technology and the just brain power that everybody gets to play in now.
Well, it's been hard to recruit that. I think a lot of it left It was mostly in Wall Street, and over the 90s and 2000s, it mostly left for Silicon Valley, and now. Like, you see a lot of people from Silicon Valley get into this because, the crossover with tech, and then they get a lot of the Silicon Valley guys retired at, super early ages, and now they're playing with house money, so to speak, so it's not as big a risk to them. And crypto is a big risk for a lot of people if they look at their finances and they, only save X amount a month, and, they don't want to put it into something they're very not familiar with. I think it can be tough, but some people are definitely more risk friendly than others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always been a risk taker. It's just my nature. But so let's just talk a little bit about something totally different. If in order to get a coin started, I mean, sometimes there's those airdrops. But what if you actually created a coin, or maybe this coin I'm talking about, where you say, okay, this is free, but you have to use it. The clock is ticking. You have to actually, it's like a hot potato thing. Do you think that would be something that would be a benefit to get it going in the market, or what do you think?
I do like that dynamic. I forget which coin first had that. It's like a rate of decay, and I thought it was great because it prevents people from hoarding. I think a coin like that would have to have behaviors like you mentioned linked to it, where I'd be incentivized to, like, this would kind of be like the tip community, right? Like, oh, that cab driver was great, $5. Bartender was great. Like, the tip community kind of was this before Bitcoin, and I know, right, like, not too many years ago in New York City, $100 was, like, your Bitcoin. The $100 bill was, like, as good as it got, and it could get you anywhere. But, for doing charitable acts and stuff like that, it's very similar. It's the same thing. Like, I see a behavior or something that I would like to reward. Here it is. I wonder what kind of dynamics are with that decay. Like, if there was a way to make it so you could have 50, right? And your 50 would never reduce. But if you had more than 50, we're going to take one away from you every week, to punish that amount of hoarding.
Well, let's not use that word punish, but it could expire. Maybe it could expire, right? Maybe you have X amount of time and so much to spend, and you know, I mean, it could be, if nothing else, it would definitely be a nice media play that would get a lot of attention, I would think, right?
Yeah, it'd be really interesting, and I think for people to be able to hold it, if you just had a way for them to keep 10 of them
Some
or 5.
of it, yeah.
Because I see the decay thing could, if you were someone who's used to buying these things and seeing them go up in value and you see it go down in value every day, you're going to quit the project.
Well, what about, like, say if you did again, we talk about tiers. What if you did the first tier, these you have to spend, so you're just getting a flow going, and then after that it becomes more like a coin that has a value, and then it goes, you know what I mean, something that, because distribution in anything, whether it's video or coins or, you know, marketing your website, anything needs exposure and a way to test it out, like you say, and make sure it works and what does work and what doesn't work, and then get people involved in it. I don't know.
No, that's a great idea, especially because some people are interested in buying and holding and not looking at it, and that's going to be their savings or whatever. And some people want to play with cool technology, and they want to be involved in a community in real life, not just looking at a spreadsheet of financials. They want it to be, you know, they want the full experience of being involved in a real economy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you're talking about.
Right. Okay. So if you were going to create your own coin today, what would it look like, and how would you do that?
If I were going to make one today, it would probably be a joke coin. So it would be, you know, something similar to the 42 coin or something like that, where it's...
The 42 meaning you only have 42 made, right?
Yeah. I don't think I would make a serious coin right now. I like a lot of projects, so there's projects out there that I'm rooting for and I'm following. If I put together like a team of people, there would be a coin maybe in the future that I'd be interested in doing, but I don't have any original ideas right now, and I'm really just trying to keep learning. I'm sure at some point I'll be involved in, you know, I'll have all the opportunities that I want as far as making software for this, but I don't want to get in over my head.
Well, right now you're focused on the mining, right?
Doing mining, trading, and just really technical analysis, learning. I've been watching a lot of those charts, which is funny because I never...
You would have never thought yourself somebody to do that, right?
No, my dad worked on Wall Street for a long time and never looked appealing to me.
Uh-huh. So it's creeping in, that DNA. Okay, so you did create a mining pool, or you are creating a mining pool, though, right?
Yeah, and that'll be my first kind of like experiment, and I'll get to play with like what themes or concepts I want to do with the pool. Most pools take a fee, so I could either take no fee or I could take, you know, 1%, and I could do something with it. I was actually thinking of starting like a New York City regional pool maybe, or, you know, starting with private network, probably just my private machines, but if I could keep meeting other cool miners, like Daniel was on last week, and like all the other miners I've met, like I feel like I've been friends with these people for my whole life. It's really ridiculous, but like if I met 10 people like that, we would have an incredible mining pool.
Okay, well let's work on that, and we could offer it to our women's network, right? Our womeninvestmentclub.com. You can go there or to our womenincrypto.net and get involved at our coffeetalk.co. Let's talk crypto. So now we're going to talk about mining and crypto and everything, but we want to get women involved, and I thank you so much for being here, Jack, and hopefully we can keep our conversation going and see how we can work together and make things possible for something that can help the world, right?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been great to be a part of this in the early days. I'm sure we're going to look back on these shows and laugh when there's an audience or whatever.
Yeah, good. Well, we can laugh now, too, so. Great. Okay, so if anybody's interested in being on our show, if you have something that you want to say like this, you feel that something could add to our conversation, if you're an ICO, or if you are a miner, or if you are a women investor, or if you have something that you want to share with the world about crypto, reach out to us at coffeetalk.co and watch our videos. We have all kinds of things going on, so we want you to be a part of our network. And women, get involved. WomeninCrypto.net is the meetup for this radio show, so you can, you know, start a conversation there, or you can go to womeninvestmentclub.com, and actually we're starting our conversation to get women around the world involved in that. And if you're a developer and you can help us make a coin, that's even better. So we want to work with you in all those ways and have fun doing it, though. That's the key, right, Jack? Because all these miners that we talk to are having fun. And that's the thing. You want to have fun and make money, right? That's it. Okay, well, I guess that's it for our show today. And we'll see you next time.